Recording in
See, yesterday we have created GL accounts. Yes, suppose if you create 10 vendor account groups, normally we define 10 number ranges, Raha. Creation of vendor master, transaction code XK01, right? Write down here, some space is there, no? Please write down. We can create the vendor master record. We can create the vendor master record only for financial accounting module. We can create the vendor master record only for financial accounting module, or only for metals management module, or only for materials management module, or both for financial accounting, both for financial accounting and materials management module, We can create the vendor master record. Continue. Full stop and continue. We can create the vendor master record only for FI. Only for FI. In the transaction code FK01. There we can maintain the data. In the general data segment. And the company code segment. We can create the vendor master record, full stop. We can create the vendor master record only for MM. In the transaction code MK01. MK01. There we can maintain the data in the general data segment and the purchase data segment. Full stop. We can create the vendor master record. Both for FI and MM. At a time in XK01. So suppose sometimes what happens, vendors for expense are there, right? So for them, we don't give any purchase order like that, right? In that case, these vendor master records are created only in FI, right? but vendors for raw materials are created both FI and MM. See, financial accounting module FK01, materials management module MK01, both XK01. See, here, suppose we are purchasing the services, right? We are purchasing the service, we are taking the service of chartered account, statutory auditors, solicitors, underwriters, etc., etc. In that case, we can create these vendors for expenses only in FI because we don't give the purchase orders, there won't be any purchase returns, etc., etc., right? In that case, we can create them only in FI. Suppose for vendors for raw materials are there, then we have to create them both for FI and MM because purchase orders, then purchase returns, purchase invoice are processed from MM and payments are processed from FI. That's why vendors for raw materials, stores and spares, etc., are to be created both for FI and MM. So transaction code XK01. So you may get this message, license expiration date 6/2/2023, right? Don't worry, just ignore it because license will be automatically applied. I will show you, right? You create the vendor number ranges, right? I will show you now. Suppose vendors for FI, you create one account group, then you separately give the number range. Then vendors for MM, that's another vendor account group. In that case, you create another number range, you assign. Like that, you can create the vendor number ranges. Okay, Jyotish?
Oh, yes, sir. Thanks.
Yeah. Company code is equal to SSKH. The account group is SSKH. Say, for example, if you want to create the vendor for MM also, we enter the purchase organization information. So what is that purchase organization? We will discuss at the time of MM integration. So company code is equal to SSKH. The account group is equal to SSKH. Click on enter. Title is equal to company. Name is equal to Vijay and company. Name of the vendor. Name is equal to Vijay and company. Now, here you can enter the address of the vendor, street name, house number, postal code, city. Now, country is equal to IN. Here I am not maintaining any address. Suppose if the address of the vendor is large, right, you can click on this More Fields button. You can enter post box number, postal code, then you can enter the communication information of the vendor, telephone number, extension, mobile number, fax number, extension, email address. So all this information you can maintain in the real time, right? So the accounts department of the company code will provide you the list of all the vendors and their addresses and their tax information and their bank information during the process of implementation. Now, click on Next Skin button thrice. This is called Next Skin button. In our training class only, right? You click on the Next Skin button 3 times. But in the real time, in every screen, we provide the information. See? Customer. Under the account control, you enter the customer number in the vendor master record. Why so? Sometimes, right, same person may be your vendor and may be your customer. Suppose XYZ Limited is there. So he is your vendor and also he is your customer. We are purchasing raw materials from him. So he is a vendor. And we are also selling the finished goods to him. So he is a customer. So the same party sometimes is a customer and also is a vendor. In that case, we create the master record as a vendor in accounts payable. And again, for the same party, we create the master record as a customer in account receivable. Then we can set up the dues against each other. This functionality we will discuss later on, right? So if that is the case, in the vendor master record, you enter the customer number, and again in the customer master record, you enter the vendor number. And here you can maintain the tax informations of the vendor, right? Then suppose if the vendor is an individual and is subject to TDS, in that case, date of birth, sex, place of birth, profession, all this information can be maintained here. So here we don't have all this information. So I told you to skip. Then click on next skin button second time. Here you can maintain the bank information of the vendor, like country of the bank of the vendor, bank key means IFSC code. What is this bank key again? Normally it is IFSC code. Other things regarding the bank key, we will discuss later on the house banks. Then bank account number, account holder name. Like that, you maintain the bank information of the vendor. We need the bank information of the vendor to do the bank transfers for payments. So here we don't have all this information. So click on next skin button again. Here we enter the contact information of the vendor. Contact person, first name, name, department. So all this information we can maintain here. Do one thing. It is not thrice, 4 times. 4 times. So all this is general data segment, right? Now, click on next skin button 4th time. You see the company code now. Means it is the company code data. And look at the scheme. Under the accounting information, reconciliation account is mandatory field. Reconciliation account is a mandatory field. Why so? Because if you remember, in the vendor account group SSKH, we have selected reconciliation account as required entry. So in every vendor master record, who is created under the vendor account group SSKH, reconciliation account should be maintained. Reconciliation account is 1,05,505. So from now onwards, right, when you post any transaction in the Vijay and Company vendor account, this account is automatically updated. So these are the 2 settings, because of which reconciliation account is automatically updated. What are the 2 settings? While creating this reconciliation account 1,05,505, you specified that it's a reconciliation account for account type vendors. And the reconciliation account number is assigned in the every vendor master record. Sartiki 012. Cash management group A1. Cash management group A1. Within brackets, domestic payments. Within brackets, domestic payments. Write down there itself. The cash management groups are also called planning groups. Every vendor account and the customer account should be assigned with the planning group. This information is used by the Treasury Management Department. To do the cash planning. See, A1 means domestic payments, means the funds are arranged in the company code local currency. Suppose you are creating the master record for the foreign vendor, right? You enter the A2. Suppose you are creating the vendor for another company code within your group, right? That is called affiliated vendors. Sometimes what happens, you have two company codes in the group, right? In that case, finished product of the company code 1 will be the raw material for the company code 2. In that case, company code 2 will purchase the raw material from company code 1. Then in the company code 1, in the company code 2, you create the master record for company code 1 as a affiliated vendor. Next, click on next skin button. Payment terms 0001. Here, the payment terms determines the due date, right? Right down there. The payment terms determines the due date. The payment terms determines the due date. For vendor invoice and customer invoice. So here, this payment terms 0001 stands for, right, payment immediate. See, payable immediately, due net. So 0001, payment immediate. And these payment terms were already created in the system. We can also define our own payment terms, but how to define our own payment terms, we will discuss later on. So here, the thing is, we are entering payment terms 0001 in the vendor master record. Why so? See, master record contains the permanent data, right? So we are entering the payment terms 0001 in the vendor master record means this vendor always requires the payment immediately. Suppose this vendor is giving this payment terms 0002. Within 14 days, 3% cash discount. Within 30 days, 2% cash discount. Within 45 days, due net. In that case, right, we enter 0002. Okay. So here I'm entering payment terms 0001. Tolerance group blank. Tolerance group blank. Write down. In that case, the values of the blank tolerance group, don't say values, you can say upper limits. Strike up the values, you add upper limits. The upper limits of the blank tolerance group, is applicable to this vendor for the payment differences. The upper limits of the blank tolerance group is applicable to this vendor for the payment differences. Look at the scheme. Yesterday, we have defined one blank tolerance group, right? So for the blank tolerance group, right? Permitted payment differences 1,000 and permitted gain 1,000, loss 1,000, right? So if you are making the payment to vendor and if the payment difference is below 1,000, that the payment difference will be automatically transferred to cash discount received account. Right? So this I will clearly practically show you this functionality. Right? So that is the use of the blank tolerance group. Next, select check double invoice. Yeah, Abhishek, tell me.
Yeah, so sir, I have a question here regarding the tolerance group for vendor. So, if a scenario is that if I have a tolerance group for user, right, where there is also a permitted payment difference is also specified.
Yes. Good observation. Right.
So, if my permitted payment difference is 800, suppose for I'm taking an example, it's 800, and if for the vendor I have defined as 1000. Now,
Mhm.
if the difference is coming around in between, if the difference is coming 900, so will the system allow me to write it off to PL account?
Not like that. See, here tolerances for users are for the purpose of postings. Okay.
Okay.
And tolerance used for vendors to process the payment differences. See, as for the vendor, see, in the tolerance groups for users, right, you did not define the payment difference. You define cash discount permitted,
Yes, yes,
right? There you define
yes,
the percentage. Here we are defining the whole amounts, right? This link
yes.
I will explain you at the time of cash discounts, right? You cannot understand now, right? At the time of posting for cash discounts, I will take the reference, whether you ask it or not now, right? I would have explained at that time, right?
Okay, okay, okay,
What is the
okay.
purpose of the user tolerance group and what is the purpose of the vendor tolerance groups? If both are different, how the system behaves. This we will discuss clearly at the time of configuration for cash discounts.
Okay, got it. Okay,
Then
thank you.
select check double invoice. Right down there again. Select check double invoice. Right down there. By selecting this checkbox, by selecting this checkbox, the system verifies, the system verifies if any invoice, if any invoice is posted two times, the system verifies if any invoice is posted two times and gives the warning message, and gives the warning message by comparing the vendor invoice number, by comparing the vendor invoice number or invoice amount or invoice amount. Means sometimes what happens here, the user may be posting the same vendor invoice second time also by mistake. So in that case, the system gives the warning message. So how the system knows that that invoice has been posted already? For that, at the time of posting the invoice, we enter the invoice amount and also invoice number. So with the help of this invoice number, and also invoice amount, the system can understand whether that invoice has been already posted or not. If the system finds that that invoice has been already posted, the system gives the warning message. Invoice amount means amount of the invoice. Suppose you have gone to Walmart and you purchased one washing machine, right? Then you get one invoice, right? That is called invoice amount. You purchase the washing machine for $1,000. $1,000 is the invoice amount. Click on save. See, vendor 1851 was created, company code SSKH. So from where this number was taken by the system? From the account group SSKH. Yesterday, we assigned the number ranges, right? For the vendor account group, SSKH. From that number range, it has taken the first number because he is the first vendor. Now, let us create one more vendor account in the same way. So in your practice also, you create at least 3-4 vendors. Procedure is same. Company code is SSKH. Account group SSKH. Click on enter. Title is equal to company. Name is equal to Walmart and company. Walmart company. country IN. Click on next skin button 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here also reconciliation account is mandatory. Like that, in every vendor master record, we assign the reconciliation account. As a result, when we post any business transaction in these vendor accounts, reconciliation account 1,05,505 is updated, which is sundry creditors. Sort key 012. Cash maintenance group A1. Click on next skin button. Payment terms 0001. Tolerance group blank. Select to check double invoice. Click on save. See, vendor 1852 was created. Now, other relevant transaction codes for vendor master records. Change vendor master record XK02. Display vendor master record XK03. Display changes made to vendor master record XK04. Block and unblock vendor master record XK05. Flag vendor master record for deletion XK06. Then define document types and number ranges. Define document types and number ranges. Means when you post the purchase invoice in the vendor account, an accounting document is posted with the document type KR. So KR represents vendor invoice. So in order to identify the accounting document relating to vendor invoice posting, we define the number ranges for document type KR. When we post the payment to vendor, again an accounting document is posted with the document type KZ. So for document type KZ, again we have to define the number ranges. When you post the purchase returns to vendor, an accounting document is posted with the document type KA. So for KA, we have to define the number ranges. Same procedure as you have defined the number ranges for SCA. And transaction code is also same. Transaction code OBA7. Click on position. Document type is KR. Click on enter. Select KR document type. Click on details button. See number range number 19. Click on number range information. Company code is SSKH. Click on change intervals. See the highest number we have defined is 3 lakhs, right? So you have to use the number after 3 lakhs. Click on insert line. Number is equal to 19. Year is equal to 2022. From number 3,01,000 to number 4 lakhs. Suppose if you want to assign the number externally, you select external checkbox. Click on save and enter. Click on back arrow 3 times. 1, 2, 3. After that, you add one more sentence there. Deselect KR vendor invoice. Deselect KR vendor invoice. Now it is there. Click on position. Now we define the number ranges for KZ. Document type is equal to KZ. Click on enter. Select KZ document type. Click on details button. See the number range number 15. For the 15, you will enter the number ranges. Click on number range information. Company code SSTN. Click on change intervals.
So I think it's a different company code.
Sorry. SSKH. Click on change intervals. Click on insert line. Number is equal to 15. Year is equal to 2022. From number 4,01,000. 2 number 5 lakhs. Click on save. Click on back arrow 3 times. After that, write down. Deselect KZ vendor payment. Deselect KZ vendor payment. Deselect KZ vendor payment. Click on position. Document type is equal to KA. Click on enter. Select KA document type. Click on details button. See the number range number 17. Click on number range information. Company code SSKH. Click on change intervals. Click on insert line. Number is equal to 17. Year is equal to 2022. From number 5,01,000. To number 6 lakhs. Click on save. Now purchase invoice posting. Posting a purchase invoice F-40. So this we will see tomorrow because today I have to perform some morning rituals, right? So on my mother's death, so I have to leave early. Okay. So this we will see tomorrow. Any questions from anybody? And one more thing, I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you one more thing, right? You have created vendor master record, right? Write down there again. When the vendor master record is created, the following 3 tables are updated. The following 3 tables are updated. The following 3 tables are updated. LFA1. 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 Vendor master general data. Vendor master general data. LFB1. LFB1. Vendor master company code data. Vendor master company code data. LFM1. Vendor master purchase data. Vendor master purchase data. So 3 segments are there in the vendor master record. So 3 tables are updated. That I forgot to tell you to write. Any questions from anybody?
Sir, can you please repeat once the 3 tables which are affected is LFA1 vendor master general data,
Yes.
LFB1 vendor master company code data,
Yes.
and LFM1 vendor master purchase data, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, then see you tomorrow.